Hey guys, so Lord here, back in with another action figure review that, quite honestly, I would have probably put up earlier in the week, but time just got away from me. You know, it happens to the best of us, right? That said, today we'll be taking a look at the DC Multiverse Jonah Hex and the General, brought to us by the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys. Truth be told, this is a McFarlane Toys store exclusive. It retailed for about $70, but I used the discount code, was it MTS10, save 10% at checkout, so pretty much omitted the shipping cost, which is roughly around, I'd say about $8 to $12, depending on where you live. I think fine folks over at McFarlane Toys ship FedEx, if I'm not mistaken, so your results may vary, but I'm going to just tell you right out the gate, this is a really cool set. I'm glad I got it. I think you could still get it. You could get it for quite a while, which is more than I could say for some McFarlane Toys releases. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all Jonah Hex here has to offer in terms of accessories, because there's actually quite a bit. Starting off with the elephant in the room, and no, I don't mean the horse. I mean these bad boys right here. He's got himself a pair of revolvers, which is unheard of with a DC figure to come with guns, right? On top of that, though, he's got his trusty, if I can find it here, comes with so much stuff. There it is. Shotgun. It's pretty cool. Nicely painted, just like the revolvers, which I'm not going to lie are a little big, but beggars can't be choosers. He does come with a little knife here, as well as a saber, cutlass. Oh, it's a sword used by Confederate soldiers. And last but not least, he comes with a tomahawk. That's all the weapons. That said, I'd keep this tomahawk far away from Jonah Hex's good side, if you know what I mean. He was burnt on the bad side with the tomahawk in the past. It was a very traumatic experience. That said, he does come with a swappable belt, and you can actually put the sword, or saber, or whatever, in one side, and the tomahawk in the other. If I can find it here, I'll demonstrate quick. I want to say it goes in like this. Maybe turn it around. Oh, there you go. There, something like that. Could store those. And then there's both a loop on the back of this belt here. Actually, I stuck the tomahawk in the back loop. My bad. There you go. There's a loop on the back of this belt for the knife, which you can stow like this. Or there's also a spot on the back of this belt, which you can also stow it. But we'll do that a little later after we've gone over articulation and stuff, because there's a lot to talk about here, because I think Jonah Hex is all new stuff. That said, he does come with a collectible trading card, and if I'm not mistaken, this is a collector edition style trading card, which makes sense, because he comes with so much stuff. There's a bio on the back, but long story short, Jonah Hex is a time-traveling cowboy with a effed up face, and a soft goods coat. Funny enough. Feels like spandex, but it's not, but I wouldn't hold it past this material to be spandex. I will say the elbows get caught in the sleeves a little bit, but it is what it is. It's not that big a deal, but something to note. Be careful when you're taking it off him. On and off him a lot. You could maybe put a hole in there, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'm just checking mine right quick to make sure I didn't. I don't think so. No, I think that's just a... I think that's just a notch. Yeah, that was just a notch. There's nothing going on there. But it doesn't really hinder the articulation, so that's a plus. That said, why don't we move the general, not to be confused with the, is it car insurance that Shaquille O'Neal talks about? Move the general out of the way and take a closer look at good old Jonah Hex. He's got a hockey puck display stand we're using with all McFarlane Toys releases. Is that the silver DC logo on? I don't think it does, but either way. Jonah Hex, one of your boy's favorite DC characters. Loved him in Batman the Animated Series. Loved him in Justice League Unlimited. Loved him in Batman the Brave and the Bold. And I actually liked the Josh Brolin movie. I know that's a mixed bag for some people. Mastodon in the soundtrack for that. I thought that was pretty cool. But my favorite Jonah Hex thing that I've seen is the DC Animated Showcase from about a decade plus ago. It's a little bit more on the anime side. It's a short, like, 20-minute cartoon, we'll say. It's not very long. And he fights this chick that, or he goes up against this chick who lures guys to the second floor of a saloon, kills him, robs him, and leaves him to rot in a ditch in the middle of nowhere. And he tricks her and takes her down, brings her to that ditch, says, "You got plenty of company, you know everyone there. You ain't no lady." Jonah Hex is freaking cool, man. I don't know what to tell you, but either way, I will say I would have liked some fist hands maybe for him, because he does throw down the old fisticuffs. You can pop these hands off and maybe swap them, but use a little heat for that. And I do wish he had a strap going across his torso with some bullets on it, kind of like the old Mattel one I have. I've had that thing since high school, so this guy had big shoes to fill, and I think he filled them. That said, as far as articulation goes, his head is on a double ball peg. So look up and down, tilt, and rotate a little bit. Nothing crazy. Shoulders go out pretty far. Rotate. He's got that rotator cap in there. Bicep swivel, double elbow. Gorge. Really tight double elbow. Ball hinge wrists that will swivel, hinge, and rotate again. He's got trigger hands, obviously. You can have him do wielding his pistolas or his shotgun. Torso, double ball peg that can tilt that far back. Not very far forward, which doesn't help him on the horse much. He can rotate. He does have some tilt, both in the waist and in the torso. His waist will turn forward and back. I will say, this belt he's got on him is not the one he came packaged with. This other one here is actually the one he came packaged with. There's a little, don't remember if I mentioned it or not. There's like a little snap on the back, like a little peg that plugs into a port on the back of these. You do not have to take his torso apart to do that, because I thought you had to do that at first. I'm like, how the heck do you get this off? And mine actually came undone, and that's how I knew that, oh, I can just unplug it. Kind of like a Master of the Universe Origins or Masterverse piece of armor, kind of like that. That said, the hips will kick forward and back a little bit. Not a ton there. They will kick out. They will kick back down. He's got a freaking clicky thigh cut in there, which is nice. That's like the tightest thigh cut without being gummy I've ever seen on a figure. Double knee works pretty good. It's kind of chunky, but not terrible. And then as far as the feet go, he's got a hinge. He's got the ball hinge. Yeah, pretty tight hinge on mine. On both sides. I will say the right side's a little tighter. But the ankle balls are very, very tight. Rotating them, you get a little bit of that. And then you do get your tilt. But again, very, very tight. I did use some heat on those initially to get them to move. you might have to do the same. Your mileage may vary, so on and so forth. That said, he does also have a toe joint, which will help keep his feet in the stirrups on the horse. But very, very awesome figure. Why don't we gear him up a little bit here? Put the knife on the back here, like so. You want to do it like that, because when he draws it, he'll pull it out. He won't, actually pull out. It won't just get stuck. But you could also do it the other way, I guess. It's just the knife. But I like to do it the other way. It's better that way. And I think that's the way it's supposed to go. See, the main thing with toy companies nowadays, they don't put the sword scabbards on the right way. So when they go to pull a sword, it's not going to actually come out. It's going to get stuck on the way out. Physically, if it was a human doing it, not a freaking toy. We've got 2 pistols there. And if we put his arms back, we can put on his duster quick. I will say, I wish his arms could sit down a little better, but beggars can't be choosers. But I gotta say, once you get him all kitted out here, with all of his gear and whatnot, once you get him all kitted out, he is a really cool figure. Really, really cool. I dig him a lot. Probably one of my favorite DC Multiverse, if not the DC Multiverse figure of the year for me so far. Azrael Batman from Knight's End was cool. And his freaking ankle being jacked up. But this guy takes the cake, man. He is loaded with accessories. He's a brand new sculpt. Plenty of paint to get by. I will say his collar's a little weird on this coat. I've noticed. Not just on mine, but other people's. But maybe that's just how this type of coat is. I don't know. I'm not a coat expert. I'm not a fashion designer for time-traveling cowboys with effed up faces, But I will say, this coat does sit on him quite well, all things considered. And I'm going to leave it on him. Especially since that little notch I found earlier, that doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. Now on to the General. Again, not to be confused with the insurance. It is the freaking Witcher horse again, I think. There is a spot, actually, if I stand him up here. There is a spot for the shotgun right here. You could put that in there. I think it goes like this. Yeah. Slide it in. Oh, maybe it goes the other way. Yeah, it probably goes the other way. Yeah, like this. At least I think. I don't know. It's a big gun, I guess. Ugh. But I will most likely be putting his sword in there. It does fit. Can do it. There you go. It can be done. I think the sword looks a little better in there anyways, but that's just me. But the General is the same horse we're used to seeing. It's the same as the Gunslinger Spawn. I'm not even going to go over the articulation. It's the same McFarlane Toys horse articulation we've seen time and time and time again. I actually did look at that Gunslinger with the horse a couple years back. Almost a couple years ago this very day. So, Yeah, it's a nice horse. Jonah Hex is going to look awesome riding it. I have him riding it for, well, you've seen the URL, so you know I already succeeded on getting him on there. He's a little tricky, a little bit. You got to be patient, but a little finesse, you can get it on there. You can get it on there. So, standing him up with his trusty steed. Very awesome set. Very awesome set. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I didn't miss out on it. If I missed out on it, I would have hated myself forever. Of course, I say that about a lot of things. Is that my excuse for not having any self-control? Maybe. Maybe. Instead, bringing in our two regulars, we got the Mythic Legion's Brother Manibelith and the infamous 11 Spawn, who, as usual, with the exception of the general there, towers over everyone. And if we brought in the Gunslinger Spawn, he'd be even taller than that. So, what does that tell you? It tells you Spawn figures are quite tall. They're large and in charge. They're not taking crap from nobody. So, with that being said, it is time now that we move right along and wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and I'm going to stand by my previous statement in saying that good old Jonah Hex here is quite possibly one of, if not my favorite DC Multiverse release of the calendar year 2024, for those of you watching this in the future, because he is the epitome of not only just a very well done figure from both a quality and, well, just all around standpoint, but he is the definition of the complete package, at least complete of a package that you're going to get from the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys. He's got a crap ton of weapons, he's got some interchangeable parts, shy of some fist hands, and maybe a bullet belt to go across his torso, which he doesn't always have, mind you. That's just something the Mattel one had that I wish this one had. He has pretty much everything you could possibly want with a Jonah Hex figure, right down to his trusty steed, the General. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And until next time, catch you guys later.